So underneath this plastic here is something that I'm weirdly excited about. So this is, if I remember correctly, it's a RX 7900 XT from XFX, if I can speak properly. This is like their Merc Speedster or something like that. I don't know. Let's see if we can read that label here. Speedster Merc 310 7900 XT. So yeah, it's very exciting. However, you can immediately see, look at that. The PCIe bracket is bent. Like, this just is not in the hole at all there. It's very wiggly. I'm not sure if the sound is coming through the camera, but you can see it's wiggly. The screws are all loose. So obviously that's not a great sign. So I got this off of an eBay auction. The seller said that they literally cannot test the card because their entire system was damaged in shipping. They just wanted some money to recuperate the cost. And honestly, very fair. But since they can't test it, that's going to be my job. And if I need to, I can try opening up the card, seeing if I can fix it. Probably not, but we'll see. Let's first see what's under here. In the listing, all the pins looked good, but let's see if we can't get a better view of all of them. These ones there look good. It's all looking pretty good so far. We've got a little bit of like chipping on the actual like PCB there, but that's fine. We can live with that. How about this side? Oh, we're missing a little bit of the pin there and there, but that should be fine. We'll see. So I had a little bit of a closer inspection with two hands available to me, and it doesn't look like the PCB is cracked at all, which is very good. There was that little bit of scuffing right here and over here, but it's not cracked. It looks okay. Which is very good. Like, it's hard to tell, but the fan cable is plugged in, so that's very good. But one thing I did notice is these screws on the back are coming up, so that's not very good either. And we have some cosmetic damage here. These feel like a cat bit the PCB, but I don't know how that could be. Maybe one of the screws like flew out and just like scratched all along it. I wish there was a picture of like the full system that this was in, like how badly that must have been damaged. And like the corner is kind of bent here. I'm not sure if that's intentional on the card or not. I doubt it is, but I mean, we'll see. But that's really all I could tell cosmetically from the outside. I say cosmetically, but this could actually really mean that it's dead. And if for whatever reason the BIOS is bad, I just now noticed there's a BIOS switcher here. So we can try both of those, see if that does anything. But just to show you like how much of a monster this card is, unfortunately my 5070 Ti is still in the other computer. But here's my 3060. Yeah, that's pretty big. I literally think it is bigger than my 5070 Ti. I think my 5070 goes to like here. So yeah, this is a huge card. And technically, if we line up the PCIe bracket a little bit more, there you go. That's a better view of how insanely massive it is. And then for like a side view comparison, it's nice I'm doing this on carpet so I don't scratch up anything. Yeah, it's a bit chunky. So I think what I'm gonna do now is finish up my testing that I'm currently doing and then try to, well, first I'll try to fix this bracket. I'll take it off and like try to flatten it out a little bit, because it won't go in a PC if it's not at least mostly flat. Like even my 3060 one is a little bit bent, but this is a weaker metal compared to this. This is a much stronger alloy, most likely. So we'll see. Oh, look at that too. What happened to this computer? It's like totally bent there. Wow. For comparison, it's hard to tell with the shadows, but yeah, that is straight. And this is very much not straight. It's kind of curved. So we'll see if this works at all. We're using the awful webcam for this attempt. It was just easier. You can see it a little bit better here, how it's like super bent and warped. Okay, so I was able to get this top bit pretty much flat. It'll be good enough, but this bottom bit is still horribly warped. Hey, that actually kind of worked. It's under my desk, so this is going to be annoying, to say the least. Okay, and out comes the arc. And almost forgot to take the cover off. In goes this chonker. Let's see if I can't use the case frame to bend the bracket. Okay, let's see if that works. Wow, this thing is long. Okay, and it looks like it's seated. And before I close up the side panel, let's see if it turns on at all. Okay, we got a light. So I'm going to plug in one of the displays. You can hear the fan starting to kick up. We're gonna go back down to GPU view, see if we can catch the fans under there spinning. It looks like they all are. You can't really see with the camera. There we go. Okay. Oh. Well, that's definitely not right. So let me install the drivers and I will be back. Okay, well that's new. In the Adrenaline drivers, you can get their like AI bundle. I kind of want to test that out. It's interesting how it changes my cursor that I created back to the default Windows one whenever it's restarting. There we go. 7900 XT, Navi 3.1, CC. I don't know what that means. I don't know enough about AMD cards. 2022, XFX, device ID. Yep, perfect. Shaders, DirectX support. Everything's looking right so far. Driver date from January 8th. Okay, so it's been like 3 weeks. Crossfire. That still exists. Oh, guys, I kind of miss this software. But man, this UI is not nearly as bad as people think it is. Because I've seen a lot of NVIDIA people be like, oh, NVIDIA software is better. No, it's not. It's just not. You cannot. Oh, that's a new setting. Frame gen lag. Oh, 50C on the memory. That's kind of hot for doing almost nothing. But the actual GPU itself is fine. I'm not gonna mess with any tuning yet. Rebar is enabled. Love this. Wish NVIDIA had this very visible. Intel's software does, because you basically have to for the ARC A770 to work properly. And that's, oh, I don't remember this before. Presets for undervolting, overclocking, and overclocking VRAM. You know what? I think I do remember overclock VRAM because I tried that to fix the other card and it didn't work. Oh, cool. Premiere Pro is an AI app apparently. So, first things first, we are going to test AVerMEDIA with OpenGL at 4K, and we're going to do the benchmark setting just to test it. 108 FPS. I'm going to say off. Sad face emoji for the integrated graphics. That's really funny. So, I'm running in the Time Spy benchmark, and this is a new one. I've never seen this before. What is happening? It's like it's not doing the layers properly. Like it's not doing a pass properly on the light, and it's just creating like a blinding effect where you can see all the areas where the light is affecting and where it tapers off, but you aren't seeing the actual like colors or the render pass. I mean, we're getting 195 FPS, but like, what is happening? I'll probably run it again and see if it still does this. So the first game that I tried out here was Apex Legends. And as you can see in that top corner, we have 230 FPS, 220, 230, almost 240, which is so close to being my monitor's refresh rate. But this is, as you can see, more than playable. If anything, it's the best I've ever seen Apex Legends. And this is cranked out max settings. This is just a bot trios match. I didn't want to have anyone else suffer through my terrible gameplay. One thing to note though, I was using a capture card to do all this because I wanted to have it as authentic as possible, have the GPU work as hard as it possibly could on the game, not on encoding anything. So I used a capture card and the audio is desynced, so if you hear a little bit of like off on the frame timing, that's my fault. I couldn't sync it good enough. But yeah, this is really good. This is very good gameplay. So next up is Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I've actually never played this game. I've had it in my library for some time now, got it on sale, but I've never played it, so I had to play through the intro here. And as you can see, like there's quite a lot of geometry here, so we're only getting around 100 FPS, dips down to like 90 at the lowest, but this is more than playable. Like the goal for all of this is to get as high a frame rate as possible on the maximum settings, because this is a high-end card. When it was released, it was $900 US. You would expect it to be a high-end card, able to do a lot of stuff. So that's what these benchmarks are trying to accomplish. But for a story-driven game like this, you can play it honestly at 30 frames per second. You don't need precise timing or anything like that, at least not that I played in my like 30 minutes before I could get to like actually Hogwarts. But this is just the very beginning of the game, no spoilers, nothing. So just like the 5070 Ti, Doom Eternal runs amazingly on here. We're 274, 280, again, all max settings, max ray tracing. This is just a very well optimized game. I genuinely don't know how they did it for how beautiful it is. But there's really nothing else for me to say. Just great experience overall. After Doom Eternal, I decided to take a little step back from these intense shooters and decided to play City Skylines. So this was a little bit worse of a show. We're getting about 100 FPS right now. It dips down to 90s, sometimes 80s, doing literally nothing in the game. Like, time is paused, just building roads. And I think it comes down to unoptimized engine for this. If we look at GPU utilization, I didn't see it go above 60 the whole time I was playing. Granted, I didn't play it for very long. I did not make a very big city. My city failed almost immediately because I forgot to turn on God mode and have infinite money. But even like CPU and GPU are just
chilling out. So I think it just comes down to an unoptimized engine, but really this is another game that you can play it at 30 FPS and be entirely happy with, so there's nothing much else for me to say here. BeamNG Drive was a really weird one for me. Again, cranked settings, as always, but for whatever reason, I wasn't getting that high of a frame rate. And I wasn't using any FSR, no XeSS, nothing. No upscaling other than whatever's built in, if there's anything. So we're getting a lot of shimmering artifacts, we're getting a lot of pop-in, and maybe it's down to the engine, I don't know. This is the Italy map just built into the game. I believe all this stuff is built into the game. At some point when I updated it, deleted all my workshop stuff, so it's pretty stock. But if we look at the GPU utilization, it's only about 50%, and the CPU is only about 23%, so we might be limited by the hard drive here. All of these games were stored on a hard drive because I don't have space on external SSDs, unfortunately. For all these benchmark games, like the total is almost 500 gigabytes between everything. So it's possible that the hard drive could be causing this, but I really doubt it. I was monitoring it on another screen, and the hard drive utilization really only happened when there was a loading screen. So I don't know what the issue was in this game in particular. Just like before with the 5070 Ti, I have to test Overwatch, and yeah, this frame rate blows everything out of the water. Like 270 FPS, 300, depending on how many people are on the screen. Max settings, like every other game. I mean, there's not much more to say other than my gameplay is absolutely abysmal here because my cat was on my keyboard. For our penultimate test, I mean, you know we gotta do Cyberpunk 2077. It's basically the de facto benchmark for any powerful hardware, just in general. And I mean, it's running great. If you look at the frame time graph, it's kind of jumping all over the place, but this is a very easily playable 30 FPS, completely smooth that way. It's not quite 60, unfortunately, but again, this is the Psycho preset with maximum ray tracing possible. And this is very impressive for a 2022 AMD GPU. I was always told that AMD's ray tracing was absolutely abysmal, and my first ever graphics card that I purchased with my own money was a RX 6700 XT, and yeah, the ray tracing was abysmal compared to the RTX 3060, but compared to the 5070 Ti, yeah, it doesn't hold up. But this is a generation old and released in 2022. The 5070 Ti was released in 2025. So there's a whole generation leap, and across two different companies, so it's very impressive what it's able to do here. It did try path tracing and using FSR and XeSS after the fact, but yeah, do not use path tracing. It was abysmal. It was like 15 frames per second, not great. Not path tracing, still same setting as before, Psycho preset. Using XeSS, it just crashed outright, and with FSR, it did improve the frame rate by about 30, so we were getting about 80 to 90 FPS, but it also looked like garbage because FSR 2 is not very good. For our final game here, we have the finals. Unfortunately, I have no idea what happened to my footage with the MSI Afterburner overlay, like all the other games had. It just disappeared. No clue where it went. But instead we have this footage, which I did record on the card, so it is working harder than it should. Here we're getting around 80 to 110 FPS, depending on like the destruction, where we are at, how many enemies are around, all those variables. But typically I would get around 120 to 150 FPS. Again, cranked settings, max ray tracing, in a game without actively recording, which is really good. That's really all you can ask for with an Unreal Engine 5 game like this. So I'm really happy with this gaming performance. I'm very impressed by it compared to the 5070 Ti. This is without FSR as well. No XESS either, because XESS looks blurry as hell. This is just temporal super resolution. So remember how I said I wanted to test out the AI stuff? Well, I did. And unfortunately, I cannot show pretty much anything on the screen as of right now. She is still very much in development, but the big number that we should be looking at is the 78.87 tokens per second. That is insanely fast, and that is literally how fast it takes on my dedicated AI system. And this is her actual model that I created. So that is insane to me that she is running exactly the same as the dedicated AI system on this theoretically significantly weaker processor. Unfortunately for me though, the audio got corrupted for all of this footage. But here I am trying out the little RAG model, seeing if it can identify what is in the screenshot. And I was very impressed with this. I looked at all the data, I checked if it was actually reading what it was supposed to be reading, and it was perfect. It was spot on. The only thing that was a bit odd is it said that I was using the Intel UHD Graphics 770 at first, but then it corrected itself later, which was just interesting to note. However, I was impressed with it. I did try a few other tests and it wasn't as great, but for this single image, it gave a really good first impression. For example, the second one here, and this is a screenshot from the finals that I just happen to have in my screenshots folder, and it thought it was Valorant, and that the kills and deaths were wins and losses, and the numbers were just all wrong. So I tried asking it what resolution the image was at, and it got that right. It was 1920 by 1080, but I think for whatever reason it's compressing it down, probably so it's easier for the vision model to understand what is there on a macro scale. So then I proceeded to do a little bit of benchmarking from here. I was using the same Gemma 3 4B model that I was using before for the RAG tests. I wanted to see how fast roughly it would go doing a larger prompt. So I asked about like 500 word stories, and here I actually tried to test the difference between Vulkan and ROCM. The last time that I tested ROCM support on Windows, it did not function at all. It was just absolutely abysmal. But as it turns out, modern ROCM is actually incredible. Like before I couldn't even get it to compile correctly, and now it just compiles first try and has the same performance as Vulkan, which is incredibly impressive considering that before the few times that I did get it to work, it ran way slower than CUDA, and Vulkan wasn't even an option at the time. I believe it was trying to use OpenGL, and it was awful. But as you can see, it's completely turned around. So whether you use Vulkan or ROCM, it's basically the same thing. I did not test this with multiple models, however. I only tested it with that Gemma 3 4B model. But I think it shows a pretty decent benchmark. Yes, it is not the biggest, most powerful model on the market, but it also has a fast enough tokens per second that you can really tell the difference in performance using a different method like that. I finished it off with trying out a thinking model, and unfortunately I completely forgot to test out the image generation performance. I personally do not support AI art, but I just wanted to try it once. I completely forgot about it. That's entirely my fault. My bad. Sorry, guys. But based on this experience, I'm sure it runs more than adequate. This has just been an amazing experience overall. So now we come to the ultimate question. Is this worth it? Is it worth it to do this, to do what I did and get a used, potentially damaged card off of eBay? And I would argue, yes, but Right. I've been very careful not to say the price that I actually paid during this whole video. When it came out, the stock 7900 XT was 900 US dollars. I'm sure for whatever this special XFX Merc version is, it was probably about $100, $200 more. So let's say $1,000, round it out, right? I paid $330. So that's about a 77% decrease in price compared to buying it brand new 4 years ago. And this was after tax and shipping as well. So I would argue that this was an incredible deal, but you have to be careful. Not everything will be a winner, right? I was also at the same time looking at a bunch of RTX 3090s, but those are skyrocketing in price so fast because everyone wants them for AI because of their massive VRAM cache. 24 gigabytes is nothing to scoff at, certainly, but I think this has shown that even AMD cards can do AI, and they can do them well. And that's just about all you can ask for nowadays with GPU prices skyrocketing, RAM prices skyrocketing, SSD prices not quite skyrocketing, but getting pretty high up there. Really, the only affordable things right now are CPUs, motherboards, and mechanical hard drives. So should you do this? I think yes, but be careful, be cautious, read descriptions carefully, ask the seller questions if you need it. If you're going the Facebook Marketplace route or Craigslist, make sure you bring a hopefully mostly portable system that you can test with, and don't pay until after you've tested it if the seller allows that. If not, then it might be worth it to cut your losses, or if it's cheap enough, then it might be good just to go ahead and deal with it. But you could also go the route of picking something up for super cheap, knowing that it was broken, knowing that it was damaged. As long as it has the core and it has the VRAM, then what you can do is you could take it to a repair shop and be, hey, I bought this used, damaged, can you fix it for me? And often that will still be cheaper than even a used card from eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, etc.